Join us as we visit Pueblo Mágico number 50, Jala, 51, Compostela, and a very unique archaeological site.
We are Georgia and David. In March of 2022, we quit our jobs to travel the world full-time. We are currently exploring Mexico, and our goal is to visit 100 Pueblos Mágicos.
Today we are making the approximately 2-hour drive from the Pueblo Mágico of Tequila in Jalisco to the Pueblo Mágico of Compostela in the state of Nayarit.
And we're about halfway there, and we decided to stop at the archaeological zone of Los Torres.
Well, it seems like there's only one car in the parking lot, so let's go check it out. Well, the first thing that we saw when we came out of our vehicle were these very intricate statues. Some of them were painted. One of them even had like a little clay helmet on. They were really, really cool. So I was really excited to see the archaeological zone.
But as you can see behind us, the gate is closed, and I'm not sure if it's just because it's a Tuesday, or maybe they're closed because of COVID still. I don't know.
So unfortunately, all we're going to get is a little shot through the gate. And I guess we're going to head on to the Pueblo Mágico.
So our second stop on the way to Compostela is the Pueblo Mágico of Hawa.
Hawa is also in the state of Nayarit, and it is about an hour drive from Tequila. And fun fact, when you drive here, you actually gain an hour of time because you cross the time zone from Central into Mountain. This town really feels like we have entered another state. All the buildings here are white and they are trimmed out with red, including the doorways, and then there are these just huge deserty mountains behind us. The thing that this Pueblo Mágico is actually most known for is its ability to grow giant corn. They even have a big corn festival in August.
And right now our mission is to find something to eat because we are starving. So we just finished lunch at Fonda Doña Melva. We got a lot of things. We got tacos dorados, which is pretty different than the tacos dorados we've had in other places. Everything was on top of the tortilla.
And the tortilla was actually empty. It was just like this hard shell.
And then we had sopes with pierna de puerco, which was very nice. Yeah. The star of the show was a garnacha, which had a meat sauce on top of it with cheese. And it was about the size of a mini pizza, but the corn dough was very, very thick and delicious.
Yeah, I would describe it as kind of a flattened tamal. So it had that soft masa and then topped with the beef and the salsa and the crema and the cheese. Super, super delicious, and it was all for a very affordable price. Behind us now is the Iglesia Viejita, or their old church. Was built in the, I believe, early 1600s, but then it caught fire. So then they built the new church, which is absolutely beautiful inside, and they switched to having service and mass there. And this church was kind of abandoned. Recently, they reconstructed the floor as well as the ceiling, and they've turned it into a museum. There was a nice lady there who gave us a quick little tour in Spanish. and it was definitely a worthwhile experience.
Yep.
So we're going to head on. I think there's another church to see and maybe another museum. Once we started walking in the part of town behind the church, the buildings changed dramatically. They were no longer white with red trim, but instead painted various bright tropical shades.
We're not sure if this town has a crazy cat lady, but by the looks of it, it definitely has a crazy plant lady.
After checking out the church and the religious museum, we walked past the municipal market, which had a very, very colorful square around it. The kiosco, the main square, also extremely colorful. It had some murals painted on some arches that had the corn theme, because of course this is the town with the biggest corn.
Yeah.
We also stopped into the Casa de Cultura. They had some artifacts from the archaeological zone here. You can't actually visit it because it's tombs that are deep underground, but they did have some of the artifacts there on display in the museum. They also had some very beautiful photographs and murals, and then they had some information on their claim to the biggest corn. Finally, we stopped by another templo, but unfortunately it was, as we like to say, double cerrado. It was double closed, the gate was closed, and the main church door was closed.
Something else that you're supposed to do in this town is check out this panaderia Chavez behind us. They're supposed to have a couple of artisanal breads that are only available here. Hours online are a little conflicting. Some say get here early, and then others say get here between 1 and 3. We stopped by twice, and it's been closed both times.
Yeah, we stopped by at about 11, and then right now it's about 1. So maybe it's true that it opens at 3. Not sure.
All right, so we've driven another hour to our final destination of the Pueblo Mágico of Compostela.
This place definitely has a more kind of tropical vibe. There are palm trees everywhere, and it is a lot greener than Jala was. One thing to do in Jala that we did not do is the hike to the cascada, or the waterfall. It was about 95,
96, yeah.
96 degrees there, so it was a little warm for us to do a hike. It is slightly cooler here, 92 degrees. But one of the things that this town is known for is their amazing raspado restaurant, which raspados are basically shaved ice that they put a bunch of homemade fruit and nut kind of toppings on. So we could definitely go for one of those, because it is brutal today.
we just finished up our raspados.
I got the fresa and nuez, which is strawberry and pecan. It was very delicious. It was a little sweet, but I still very much enjoyed it on this hot day.
We got pina and cocoa, which is pineapple and coconut, and it was very refreshing. It kind of reminded me of pina colada a little bit.
I can see why this place is really popular, especially with a climate like this.
So we stopped at the Casa de Cultura, which had some pretty interesting art.
One of the neatest things was that the entire outside of the building was painted to look like it was the tiny beaded art that is popular in this area of both Nayarit and Jalisco. And so we took a little spin around the municipal market, and a lot of the stalls were closed, but there were about 4 different ones selling that hand beaded art. And I actually picked up a pair of flip-flops. They were 450 pesos. I didn't try to bargain because watching somebody work with those tiny little beads, you know, it is a very painstaking process that takes a long time. So I'm very happy with my purchase. And next we are actually heading to Manzanillo and Sayulita, so I'll have some time at the beach to use my flip-flops.
After checking out the church, we were on the hunt for some coffee.
Something else this Pueblo Mágico is known for is their coffee production. And we actually drove, about 4 or 5 kilometers outside of town to a Pemex gas station. So there is a coffee shop here. It's called Citomayo. They actually have a finca or a farm that you can actually tour and watch the whole process of how they grow and harvest the coffee. But we decided to stop by the cafe. We both got iced lattes. The coffee was quite good. So as you can see, we bought a half kilo of ground coffee to take home with us.
So today we drove about an hour to the archaeological zone of Guachimontones.
This is an archaeological site that I read dated back to 300 BC, and they believe that it was inhabited up to 350 or 400 AD. It is a very unique archaeological zone in that the pyramids are basically circular and stepped. So I'm excited to go see what they look like.
Our first stop was the site museum, where we watched a fairly long and informative video on the site before viewing some of the artifacts. The next stop was a short but steep climb to the site itself.
So one of the things we learned in the video is that all these flat structures around the circular pyramid, they would have had temples built upon them.
They think that each temple might have been devoted to a certain god, and originally, before they started building these round burial mounds, they actually had shaft tombs, and those are located all through this area. Yeah, so it is obviously very close to the Tequila volcano, and it is believed that the obsidian cache that was left behind was the third largest in the world. So this community made lots of weapons and decorative items and traded with other communities around.
All right, so it's finished up here at the archaeological zone. There's a lot of structures, but it's pretty compact, so you don't have to walk very much.
Yeah, after you make that big climb up the hill, you have a nice easy walk around. There are 4 different circular sections. One has a small stepped pyramid, one has a very large stepped pyramid. One has a pyramid that hasn't been uncovered yet, so it's still completely overgrown. And then the last one is just around kind of a diamond shape in the middle. The whole site overlooks a valley with a lake in it, and there's a beautiful mountain behind it. But unfortunately, right now it is burning season. So there's just this smoky haze in the air, and it's been that way for, I don't know, 3-4 weeks now. The rain should be coming soon, and so I think a lot of farmers are burning their fields to prepare. And then also I think some of these fires are just spontaneous, because I don't know if you can tell, but everything behind us is just yellowy and dry. There's very little green right now.
On the way out, I asked the security guard how much of the site had been reconstructed, and he said only about 15%.
Thanks for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. And if you haven't already, check out this video here where we visit Pueblos Mágicos number 48 and 49.